And joining me now on the show at the resignation of Daniel Andrews, who you can probably, well, you might be able to see behind me, is none other than the Victorian Senator, Senator Ralph Babet. Ralph, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for getting me back onto your show. I'm not in my office right now. I'm not in a studio. This is a bit of an impromptu interview because we just got to talk about this news. This is good news. I'm actually on the road right now. For those that might be wondering, I'm in one of the airport lounges in Brisbane, and I have myself a cheeky little glass of wine. A cheeky glass of wine. Let's talk about why that is, Jason. Let's talk about it.
Good on you. Well, I think I've gone through a couple of beers this evening and was about to pour myself a 12-year-old scotch, and I got a call from Senator Ralph Babet returning my inquiry. Ralph, it is a big day, and many people are wondering what's next for Daniel Andrews, but he's no longer going to be the Premier of Victoria from 5 p.m. on Wednesday. What was your reaction when you first heard the news?
Well, it's been a long road with Chairman Daniel Andrews, a very long road. Part of the reason why I'm even in politics today is because of the overreach that he partook in during the COVID times, the mismanagement that he partook in, the complete cluster F that was my home state of Victoria, the way that he destroyed it, the way that they didn't follow any of the pandemic handbook prescriptions at all. And you know what? I am sick of that guy. I'm glad to see the back of him. I never want to see his face again. To this day, he still gives me PTSD when I see him on TV or I see a picture of him pop up on social media. I am so glad that Daniel Andrews will no longer be the Premier of Victoria. But what I don't want to happen, this is what I don't want to happen. I don't want him to sail off into the sunset and get a cushy job somewhere in the private sector, maybe as the ambassador for China. Who knows? I'm just having a guess here. I'm just having a laugh. But I don't want him to sail away into the sunset without first fronting up to a royal commission and explaining exactly why he did what he did when he did it. I want to know answers to questions that I have first. So yes, it's great he's gone, but we still need to hold this man to account. We need to hold him to account. But for tonight, let's just celebrate. Let's have a cheeky drink, and we'll deal with the rest tomorrow and the rest of this week, and I'm sure the rest of this year. But I will not rest until Chairman Daniel Andrews fronts up to an inquiry and explains himself.
Well said. Look, some people have come up to me and said, look, what difference does it make? He'll just be replaced with another order taker. But my answer was this: he can't hurt one more person. And the idea that he was somehow saving the world from COVID, we all know that when you compare his reaction in Victoria to the rest of the country, particularly to my state of New South Wales, it was complete overreach. We know that he held the state way too long in lockdown. We already now know that lockdowns overall were harmful. But we also learned of people such as elderly people who were taking meals on wheels, who were left in their homes and starving. We learned of COVID isolation suicides. We learnt of overreach, people losing their jobs for not wanting to take this medicine that has now caused so many other problems. And we realised that Daniel Andrews was somehow not necessarily serving the people of Victoria, but that was a cover for something else. And it seems that he was serving some sort of globalist interest, Ralph, and many people already speculating that he might be able to take up a position perhaps at the World Economic Forum. Goodness me, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. It's just insanity, isn't it?
Look, I don't know where he's going to end up, but we can be sure of this, darn sure. I'd probably put $100 on it. He's going to end up in a cushy job somewhere, and he'll be well rewarded for his efforts with what he's done in Victoria. Look, there's a lot of questions, and not many answers so far. So we need to put this guy over the coals. We need to rake him over the coals. We need to know exactly what happened, why it happened. We cannot let him get away with it. Potentially we get someone else in there, but hey, it's not going to be Daniel Andrews. It's not going to be Chairman Dan. He's gone. And, if the next person comes in there and potentially maybe they're as bad as he is, maybe they're not, I don't know, but we'll keep them to account as well, and we'll hold them accountable as well. The United Australia Party will never give up on pushing for transparency, on doing what's right, on fighting for the Australia and the Victorian people. We will never give up.
Yeah, well said. And look, when we look back at the hotel quarantine fiasco that resulted in the deaths of the first, goodness me, 800 of the first 1,000 deaths of COVID in Australia, all were attributed to that. We look at the Commonwealth Games fiasco. And of course, we look at Daniel Andrews reaching out with the Belt and Road Initiative in Victoria, defying the government at the time of Scott Morrison and Treasurer Josh Frydenberg. Daniel Andrews has a big case to answer. Do you think there's any merit in perhaps the opposition now coming up and demanding for a COVID Royal Commission and some other inquiries?
I have been calling for a Royal Commission since day dot, and so have some of my Senate colleagues, not all of them, but some. We do need a Royal Commission because a Royal Commission has the power to force witnesses to appear, and most importantly, a Royal Commission has the power to recommend charges, to recommend criminal charges. And I think that's what we need to happen. Look what we went through as a state. None of it made sense. Now, I'm not saying that Premier Andrews did anything illegal, but I want the opportunity for it to be examined closely to make darn sure that he didn't. Right? Seems fair enough. I mean, after 2 years of suffering, 250 something days in lockdown, locked in my house, can't go for more than 5 kilometers from home, curfews, all this kind of overreach. People couldn't visit dying family members in hospital, a ring of steel around Melbourne. You can't fly in, you can't fly out. You're telling me that now we're just going to let these people get away with it without even a simple Royal Commission? I mean, come on, what crazy world am I living in here? What crazy, I mean, we've had Royal Commissions into bushfires, for goodness sakes, and we can't have one over this? Rubbish. I say rubbish. The coalition better bloody well step up and push the issue of a Royal Commission, because if they don't, what's the point of being in opposition? Wouldn't you want to hold people to account? Wouldn't you want to do better for your state, for your country, for your territories, whatever it is? Coalition, step up, stand up, speak up. Hold these state premiers to account, because let's face it, most of the worst decisions came from the state premiers. We've got to do something about this, because who knows, if we don't do something about this now, what are the chances that it happens again? I mean, the World Health Organization and the UN is, after all, saying prepare for another pandemic. They're saying it. They're saying that. So let's at least make sure that if it does come down the road again, that we figure out what worked and what didn't work, because I for one don't want to be locked in my house for another 2 years when the next one comes along, as they keep saying it will.
Well said. And there's 2 points I want to make before I say goodbye. First is this: in Australia, the COVID survival rate was better than 99%, which is an incredible statistic. And the other one is that we now know that that COVID being derived from a lab is now considered globally to be 99.9% probable. And without dealing with those two facts, we are only being led down a garden path to be deceived. And our government's role is not to deceive us, but to inform us. And if they're not doing that, they are letting us down. Senator Ralph Bett, thanks for your time today on World Series News.
Mate, thank you so much. And before I go, to my fellow Victorians that are out there, enjoy your drink. Let me cheers you. There you go. Cheers. Have a great night. We've got one tyrant down. Let's make sure that we never see another one. Let's fight for our rights. Let's protect the future of our nation, the future of our state, the future of the generations that will come next. Let's say no to tyranny, and let's say yes to a Royal Commission. Call your local MP. Call your senator. Make sure it happens. God bless you. God bless our nation. Goodbye.